Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about London Dumping Convention. This is the famous question, which is a very important question which comes in Chief Mate Phase 2 Maritime legislation paper. This question normally comes for 10 marks or 15 marks. It's a sub question, part A or part B of any question. Could be 10 marks, could be 15 marks question. Normally there are only two questions which are asked. One question would be for 10 marks. What are the salient features of London Dumping Convention? And the other question would be what are the salient features of London Dumping Convention? And additionally, they would ask you also explain its protocol. So it's a very simple convention, not very difficult to understand. So let's get into it. So it was adopted in 1972 and it came into force in 1975. Okay. So objective of this convention was to promote the effective control of all sources of marine pollution and to take all necessary steps to prevent pollution of the sea by dumping of waste and other matter. So before this convention, there was no regulation for dumping of waste into the sea. So anybody could dump anything. So the world needs some convention, some guidelines, some rules to be strict regarding the dumping into the sea. So this was one of the first convention which talks about the dumping. The early convention also was Marpol, but Marpol was adopted in 1973 and came into force in 1983. So this was before Marpol. So it was one of the first global conventions to protect the marine environment from human activities, as we discuss. The term dumping. So this also you have to write. The term dumping was defined for the first time as deliberate disposal of waste by ships, aircraft, offshore platforms, offshore installations, and disposal of these items itself. So it means the deliberate, the intentional disposal made by all the ships, all the aircrafts, and all the offshore platforms and installation. Whoever makes a deliberate or intentional disposal of anything, so that will be called as dumping, including the disposal of these items itself. Like disposal of ships means a ship is intentionally dumped at sea to for whatever reason, so they are not able to scrap the ship or to get the insurance premium, insurance coverage, so they dump the ship or the offshore platforms or the aircraft intentionally. So that is also called as dumping. Not only the garbage from the ships or the aircraft, also the aircraft or the ship, when it is dumped intentionally, it is also called as dumping. So the next slide will move. So this rule, this convention, the main convention, is consisted of 22 rules and 3 annexes. We are not much concerned about these 22 rules. That is not very important. So these 3 annexes we will see. It is very easy to understand these 3 annexes. So the Annex 1 contains a list of hazardous substances that were prohibited from dumping. This list was called as blacklist. So in Annex 1, they made a list. They called it a blacklist. In that list, they put all the hazardous substances which were not allowed to dump. Okay, but the substance could be dumped under special permit provided that the traces are very small or have been rendered harmless. The blacklist contains the hazardous substance which were prohibited to dump into the sea, but under the special permit you can dump them provided that the traces are very small and the dumping rendered harmless. It is not harmful to environment or not harmful to human health. So two conditions has to be fulfilled. The traces has to be very small and it should be rendered harmless to environment and human health. Okay, the blacklist comes in Annex 1, which are strictly prohibited. The Annex 2 contains gray list. Okay, it contains the list of substances that could be dumped with special care and under special permit. Under permit, known as journal permit, this list is called as gray list. So in Annex 1, we had blacklist and we had special permit. If you want to dump any substance which is from the blacklist, you need a special permit to this uh, this substance into the sea. And the Annex 2 contains a gray list. Gray list, the substance in the gray list are not that hazardous compared to the blacklist in Annex 1. So they can be dumped with special care and under special and under a permit known as general permit. To throw the items in the blacklist, you need special permit, and the items in the blacklist are hazardous substance and they are prohibited. Okay, and the gray list substance in Annex 2, they are not very hazardous compared to the blacklist, so they can be dumped, but they need a general permit. Okay, so Annex 1 and Annex 2 are clear. So Annex 3 gives the guidelines for issuing the general and special permits. Okay, this is quite simple. Annex 1, blacklist substance which are strictly prohibited from dumping. If you want to dump, then you get a special permit. Annex 2, you have grey list substance which are less hazardous compared to the Annex 1 blacklist. They can be thrown with a general permit. And Annex 3, obviously, the guidelines for issuing the special and general permit. Okay, so this is the main convention which has 22 rules and 3 annexes. 22 rules, we are not much bothered about it. So 3 annexes you have to write, and the next, this is sufficient for 10 marks. The earliest write this one and this one. If you write, it is sufficient for 10 marks question. And if the question is asked for 15 marks, then you are expected to write about the convention as well. So the convention, it was adopted in 1996 and it came into force in 2006. The features of the convention are three features. The precautionary approach. Under this, all the substances were banned from dumping except those who were on the reverse list. So, in main convention, you are allowed to throw the substance, but you have to obtain the special permit or the general permit prior dumping. But in protocol, which they adopted, so you are not allowed to throw anything. Only the item which are there in the reverse list, only that can be dumped into the sea. Okay, so this is the first feature. The second feature is polluter pays the principle. Under this, no matter who is at fault, the party from where the pollution originates must pay immediately. So they're not bothered who is at fault, whether it is intentional or it is not intentional, it was your mistake or others' mistake. If the pollution originate from your side, you are bound to pay. Suppose two ships involved in a collision, ship A and ship B. Ship A is a tanker and ship B comes and collide with ship B comes and collide with ship A. The ship A, which is a tanker, it is not her fault, but the pollution originates from the ship A. Ship A cannot say it is not my fault. Ship B came and collided with me. You cannot say that. You have to pay. You are bound to pay. So ship A in this case will pay for all the pollution damage as per this convention. Okay. The third feature is reverse list. It was permitted to dump substance not on the reverse list. So reverse list is basically a list they made. So items were mentioned which can be dumped into the sea. So items which are not mentioned in the reverse list can be dumped, but you have to obtain a general or a special permit. So that is the same what was there in the main convention. So the three main features of this protocol. So all the substance were banned to dump into the sea except those on the reverse list, and the one from where the pollution originated, he is liable to pay. He must pay immediately. Okay, and the reverse list, obviously, the list they made, the list states the items which can be substance which can be dumped into the sea, and so there are in this protocol there are 29 rules and 3 annexes. The original convention had 22 rules and 3 annexes. We did not study rules because it is not important for us. It's just a 10 or 15 marks question. But this convention has 29 rules and 3 annexes, 7 rules more than the original convention. We are also not going to study the 29 rules here. We are bothered about the 3 annexes. Okay, the annex 1 has reverse list. As we studied just now, reverse list is a list which gives the substance which can be dumped into the sea. Okay, and the annex 2 gives guidelines for issuing special and general permit. Okay, the items which are not in the reverse list, if you want to dump them, you need to obtain special or a general permit depending upon the types of substance. If it is hazardous, you need special permit. If it is less hazardous, you need a general permit. And the annex 3 is guidelines for arbitration. Arbitration comes wherever money comes, the arbitration comes. If as we studied in the features, the pollution from where it originated, that party is liable to pay immediately, must pay immediately. So even where the money comes, the arbitration comes. So they have given the guidelines for arbitration, how much you're supposed to pay in the event of pollution. So this is it. So it is just a 10 or 15 marks question. If it's a 10-mark question, you can write first two slides. That's good enough. If it's a 15 marks question, you are expected to write all the four slides, main convention and the protocol. So that's it. Thank you.